welcome to our local candidate forums hosted by the Natrona County Library and the Casper League of Women Voters. Thank you for joining us here tonight. The Library and League are pleased to host this series of candidate forums. In addition to tonight's City Council and County Commission forum, we'll also be hosting the school board in October, on October 8th, before the general election. We're also partnering this year with the Wyoming League of Women Voters, Wyoming Public Media, and WyoFile to bring two of the statewide election forums to Casper. Those will be next week. Wednesday will be the governor's race, and Thursday will be the U.S. House race. Those will be up at Casper College at Durham Hall if you want to attend. We're also really excited to partner this year with the Boys and Girls Club of Central Wyoming. Several of their youth members are helping us tonight as junior moderators and timekeepers. It's very great to have young people involved in the democratic process, and we're happy you both are here tonight. Tonight's forum is being video recorded by Natrona County Library and will be available on the library's YouTube channel. And we want to thank each of the candidates for running for office and being here tonight. Campaigning requires a significant commitment of time and energy, and we appreciate your willingness to serve our community. I'd also like to thank our moderator, Dale Warren. Dale is a retired publisher of the Casper Journal and Casper Star Tribune, and our junior moderator and timekeeper, Bryn McCarthy and Brooke McCarthy from the Boys and Girls Club. At this time, I'll turn the program over to Dale Warren, who will review the forum guidelines and begin tonight's discussion.
All right, thank you, Betsy. Betsy O'Neill is the Adult Services Manager for the Natrona County Library and also a member of the League of Women Voters. I really appreciate the opportunity to meet all of you and to get to see you and to get to hear you, and appreciate the audience for being here as well. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots organization and part of the National League of Women Voters, which was founded in 1920. So they've been doing this a while, and I know as I grew up in Casper, the League used to be a really big thing. If you wanted to know about the candidates, you came to one of these forums. And I think that's like most things, it's a cycle, but these are very valuable opportunities. The League believes citizens play a critical role in our democracy through informed, active participation in government, and is dedicated to voter education by providing information that helps us all make informed decisions. No questions have been shared with the candidates tonight, largely because the questions are coming from you. So if you have a question that you would like to have answered, please write it on one of the 3x5 cards at the back and give it to Jim Brown. Jim, would you raise your hand? The number of candidates who will move from the primary to the general election will be the number of seats to fill in the general election from each party. There's 3 open positions, so there's room for 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. In this case, there's 2 Democrats on the primary ballot, so both will move forward, and 10 Republicans, 3 of which will move forward. So if you would silence your cell phones, like I'm about to, and we'll get started. Good evening again.
Good evening.
I'm going to introduce you all first. We have the 2 Democratic candidates, and the candidates self-selected where they wanted to sit. So the Democrats are together. We have Candace Machado and Lisa Jameson.
They're on the far left.
Hey now.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say that's dependent on your perspective, Mr. Key. The 10 Republicans are Cameron Savage, and please do indicate who you are when. Kathy Carr, Chad McNutt, Charles Moore, Dallas Laird, Greg Flesvig, Janelle Moore. Oh, and Janelle Moore is not here this evening. Her elderly mother went into cardiac arrest and sustained some physical injuries when she fell. So this was in the last week, and so she is unable to be here this evening and begs our understanding. Matt Keating, Ray Pacheco, and Rosemary Sizaban. She is not here this evening. Tonight's forum is on a restricted time schedule. So the candidates will each receive up to 1 minute to make an introductory statement and then equal time to answer each question. And finally, 1 minute to have a closing. Here are the rules. This is a forum and not a debate. So you will be asked a question and you have, we'll tell you how much time you have. If it's a complicated question, you can have 90 seconds. Typically it'll be 1 minute. But we'll note that when we tell you the question. And then we'll alternate who gets the first question, who gets to answer first, so that everybody gets the first crack at a question. We ask that everyone be respectful and courteous, and we would like you to answer the question for yourself, how you would do something, how you feel about something, and avoid personal attacks on the other candidates. You are to address your answers to the audience and not to the other candidates, and please do not engage with the other candidates. Our timekeeper will show you a yellow card when there's 15 seconds left, and a red card when your time is up. And I will help you see that if you don't see the red card when the time is up. So once again, please turn off your cell phones, and no candidate is, also this is important, no candidate is wearing an earbud or getting any information from anyone else. And we ask that your campaigns do not video this for use in marketing. If you'd like a question repeated, no problem, just simply ask. And we also ask the audience not to clap or vocalize your support or displeasure for any questions. This is just information, after all. First, we'd like to start with an introductory statements. So candidates, you have up to 1 minute, and we'll start with Candace Machado and go right down the road. So you have 1 minute to answer the question, your introduction, and please tell us also why you're running.
Can everybody hear me?
No.
No. Hello? Yes, okay. I'm like, my voice travels. Hi, I'm Candace Machado. I am the former mayor of Evansville, Wyoming. I've been in politics for the last 6 years. I've been a social worker in Natrona County for the last 20 years. I'm working in everything from prison settings, substance use facilities, psychiatric hospitals, school districts, and I'm also a small business owner as well. And I am here today to jump back in the political race to go for county commissioner and to support my local community.
I'm Lisa Jameson. I'm a lifelong resident of Natrona County. I went through kindergarten through Casper College in Natrona County Public Schools. I have no government experience, just a regular person looking to represent other regular people. I know a lot of my peers my age who are, raising families still and working for a living, have a hard time, showing up for meetings or really being engaged in the political process. And I've come to a moment in my life where right now I'm a stay-at-home mom. My background is in electrical work, but I just felt like it was time I'm able and willing to do some of this work to help run the government. So just thought I'd put my name on the ballot, and if people want my help, I'm here.
Thank you. My name's Charlie Moore, and I'm a retired agency director for the state of Wyoming. I spent 17 years as that director of that agency. My wife, our children, all from here in Wyoming, living around here in Natrona County as well. I am not here, from here, excuse me. I was born and raised in the Midwest, moved here in 1997. I've served on the Joint Powers Board since 2017, and why I'm here is to put common sense government back on track where it should be and put common sense into government. So, thank you.
Hi, my name's Matt Keating. I'm born and raised in Wyoming with my very pretty wife Jennifer. We're raising 8 kids here in Casper. I did 25 years on the fire department, and that fire department is the Natrona County Fire Protection District, and their budget is 3 mills in the unincorporated areas of Natrona County. And forgive my slur. Their budget was $2.2 million. They've taken a $300,000 hit due to local towns annexing high-value properties. There was also a solar project that apparently they thought it was important to buy 2 fire trucks, which they paid $1.8 million for. And so they were struggling to make the $300,000 payment for that. They gave me a call and said, "Hey Matt, we'll make you breakfast." I have 15 seconds. So my advice is, anytime the fire department said, "Hey, we'll make you breakfast," take advantage of it. Ultimately, the county commission is in a unique position to help the fire district attract business and raise the tax base so they can stop.
Hello, everybody. My name's Dallas Laird. I'm a lifelong resident of Casper, Wyoming. I've been on the city council. I've had 1 term of 4 years, almost 4 years on the county commission. And a lot of people think I'm insane for running again, but my reason for running is very simple. I'm from here. I know a lot of people in town. They've all been kind. They've all been good to me. I'm a practicing lawyer. My kids went all through schools here, and I love this town. And most of my relatives are up in Highland Park, in the cemetery, because they were all from here too. And I'm doing it for one reason. I want to work for the people. I listen to the people, and I'll do what the people tell me they want done.
Thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Chad McNutt, and I am running for Natrona County Commissioner. My wife and I moved here 13 years ago, and we moved here because this is a great community to live. I'm running for County Commissioner because I think Natrona County has a very bright future, and I think thoughtful, well-reasoned leadership can help realize that future. I've spent the last 3 years sitting on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I've seen firsthand the difficult issues this county is dealing with, and I feel that thoughtful leadership can help kind of navigate through some of these sticky issues. My background, I'm an environmental consultant. I'm also a natural resource land management planner. I've worked with tribes, I've worked with municipalities, I've worked with the federal government. And in all of those things, we've dealt with difficult decisions where you had to take unique perspectives into account and come to difficult decisions. I think I can bring that to the commission. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Kathy Carr. I am running for the Natrona County Commissioner. The reason I'm running is I am the mother of a 24-year-old son who can't seem to find a job. And I would like to bring economic development to Natrona County. I think it's something that we need, and I'd like to bring a new perspective to it. I have lived in Natrona County for 40 plus years of my life. I was educated here, went to the University of Wyoming, where I got my degree in accounting, where I have been, right now I have over 30 years experience as an oil and gas accountant. I think I can bring good common sense to the budget, to how to, and I can look at different perspectives in the county. I just finished my 6 years on the Natrona County Library Board, where I had served in different positions, and I got a good idea of what the county, how it runs, and I like to help continue running the county. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting us on tonight, and everyone showing up as interested citizens on what the business of the county is entailing. My name is Greg Flesvig. I'm a small business owner. I also have a couple part-time jobs, maybe semi-retired, you could say. But I have a political history as wrapping up 1 term in the Evansville Town Council. So going forward, I'd like to see business development within Natrona County. I'd like to see a strong economy. I'd like to make sure we do have those jobs for the young ones so we don't see the migration out of our state. We do have a lot of contentious issues with the data centers, the gravel pit, slash pile. A lot of that is building up. So I think I can take some of my experience and apply that and lend that to the good people of the county of Natrona. Thank you.
My name's Cameron Savage, and I'm running for Natrona County Commissioner, of course, as everybody else up here is. I've been here in Natrona County since 1996 this time. When I was growing up, my parents moved us every couple of years. I graduated from Kelly Walsh High School. I went to Berta James Elementary. I went to Centennial, and I've lived in a lot of other states. And Natrona County has always been home. Every time I've come back to Natrona County, it's just what's home. And it's given me my wife, met her here at Casper College. And I'm running because the community needs good people that are willing to listen to both sides of an issue. And we need civility back in government. And I really think that that's very important. We've gotten away from that a lot, even in our own party.
Good evening. My name is Ray Pacheco, and I'm running for the Natrona County Commission. First and foremost, what I want to say is I've never viewed public service as being about politics. To me, it's always been about you, the people. I'm a licensed clinical therapist, a social worker. I teach graduate students at the University of Wyoming as a lecturer at the social work program. I've served at the Casper City Council for the past 12 years, and I've also served as mayor a couple times. What I want to say tonight is that we're going to hear very many different opinions. We're going to hear a lot of different ideas. But one thing that we have to remember, and the reason why I'm a part of this, is that we need to continue to work together, talk about these issues, come together, and being able to do that. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. I appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Thank you.
Hang on to the microphone, Mr. Pacheco.
Oh, sorry.
Starting with you, 1 minute, if you would please, on what are the most crucial challenges your constituents are facing? And if elected, how would you address those challenges?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say certain things about what is the most challenging things that constituents are facing, including ourselves, because we're all constituents, right? We're all citizens here. I think one of the things we talk about is economic development, keeping our young people here. We keep hearing that over and over. We need to look at how do we create a diverse economic base. I think when we talk about local controls, another issue that we have, affordability, housing affordability is an issue. And I think with property tax cuts coming, I think the county is gonna see significant cuts in their budget, that we're gonna have to be facing that. But ultimately, and one more thing that I would wanna say is our mental health is an issue. We're still number 3 right now, currently in the United States per capita of the highest suicide rates. So we continue to have that in our community, in the state of Wyoming. So we have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of issues that we need to deal with. Those are just a few of them. Thank you.
People have brought a lot of issues to my attention. Of course, we have the data centers, as Greg mentioned earlier, and we need people in leadership that are willing to listen to both sides of every issue and look at all the facts involved and make those decisions based on facts and not emotion. But housing has been recently brought up to me on how expensive housing is. Even in Mills, which is where I work, it has gotten, the new development out there looks like they may be starting those houses at $450,000. And we need to really look at creating maybe more lax zoning and creating more affordable housings for the private sector. For example, more mobile home parks maybe in the county, more fourplexes, more duplexes. And we need to address that as a commission if I'm elected. So I've only got 15 seconds, so I'll pass the mic to Greg.
Thank you, Cameron. Going forward, I think communication, both between the constituents and the elected officials at every level. We see that it's very important that there's that communication. Not everyone has all the answers, so yeah, when housing is expensive, there will be an east side development of 74 houses, probably in the same price range coming up in the near future. So that's coming up, but just to get out there and get citizen involvement as far as data centers, gravel pits on the mountain. We need to have that back and forth dialogue, and that's what I think is important.
I think the biggest thing that we're facing in Natrona County is we're stagnant in our economic development. We live on the boom and bust of the oil and gas industry. And repeating the cycle over and over again, I know I've been doing it since 1977 when my parents moved me here from Nebraska. It's not something we can sustain. it has to change. We have to bring in new industries, we have to bring in the technology, and we have to be open-minded about everything that comes in. We can't say not in my backyard. We have to look at things, and doing that, we have the communication between the citizens, the government, and the people that wanna bring it in. We have to have that open communication, because we have aging infrastructure, we have, the wages for our county employees needs to come up too. So there's a lot of factors that I think can be changed with new economic development. Thank you.
I think short-term, we have issues with loss of revenue. I think the county is going to lose quite a bit of revenue. I think we all know it's coming. And so we need to start planning for that now. I think we need to open lines of communication. I think we need to make sure that all the different departments and all the other elected officials are on the same page. And I think that does help by having good communication. I'd say on the longer term, as others have mentioned, economic growth. And economic growth means a lot of things, and that includes good health care. It means having good economic opportunities, good jobs. So there's a lot wrapped up in that. And so long-term, we need to have our eye on what that means for this county. And that means different things to different people. We need to work that out. We need to continue to have communication. And it's gonna be a test coming up with all the different things coming down the pike, including what people have mentioned, the gravel pit, and also data centers. And so we need to keep having this discussion about what economic growth means, because it is a long-term issue for us.
So let me put the gravel pit thing away. We defeated the gravel pit. And it's now in front of the Supreme Court of Wyoming, because the gravel pit people sued us, and the local judge ruled in their favor. A judge who's not from Natrona County, who lives in Natrona County. But that case will be decided in September by the Supreme Court, and we'll have to live with, if they follow what we want, there'll be no gravel pit. If they say that the gravel is a mineral, there may be a gravel pit, and that's because of state statute. So the one thing I encourage anybody running for this job to do is go read the statutes that apply to county commissioners, because it'll open your eyes, and it'll take a little while to read and understand. But my thought for the community is their health and their ability to pay the taxes put on them and not lose their houses. Somehow we've got to do something about the taxes going on houses, and put an end to it, and look for money in other ways.
There are statutes currently on the books that the county commission does have the ability, per Senate File 19 in the year 2022 gave the county commissioners the authority to imitate the property tax exemption. So there's that has been around for 4 years, and that is a tool in the belt of the county commissioners. I would agree it's economic development, but there are a lot of moving pieces with the economic development. Natrona County needs to be open to business. Good businesses that are a good fit for Natrona County, raising the tax base. It's not just one or the other. You can do residential property tax cuts and still be able to fund the government public services like the fire department is one of the reasons I'm running. New and old businesses create innovation in our community. They provide options for our children and our grandchildren so they can stay. A good paying job means stability for families so they can afford some of these homes that are just overpriced. According to WCA, across Wyoming, it's the issue of supply and demand. We're somewhere in the neighborhood of sort of like 28,000 to 32,000 homes in Wyoming.
Thank you for the question. As I heard the question, it is what our constituents were saying to us all, the concerns.
The question is, what are the most crucial challenges
Correct.
your constituents are facing?
Correct, thank you very much for that. You know, housing, the budget, cost of living, economics, the transparency that we have, more transparency. They want someone that will roll up their sleeves and go to work for them. They want someone that will show up every day. And they're concerned about the export of our children. They're very concerned about that. That comes back to the economy. And like I said, they also want someone that will listen to them, talk less, again, listen more. Thank you.
People want a good paying job in a nice place. Natrona County is a nice place because our predecessors invested in the community. Good paying jobs. Some of these issues we're not gonna be able to solve at the county level. There's been pressure on wages, keeping wages stagnant nationwide for my entire lifetime. How do we deal with that? You know, and that runs into the housing and everything else. The tax code has become more regressive at the national level. Wyoming, compared to other states, has a fairly regressive tax code too. I'm concerned there's talk of raising the sales tax in order to make up for the cuts in property taxes. That would make our tax code more regressive, harder on people on the lower end of the scale. So I would like to hear some new ideas from what I've been hearing. Thank you.
Can you restate the question one more time since I'm the very last person?
What are the most crucial challenges your constituents are facing? And if elected, how will you address these challenges?
All of the consistency of what I've been hearing is mental health. There's not enough mental health providers. There's not enough mental health resources in the county for young people to go to and the elderly to go to. Affordable housing, grocery prices, gas prices. Also, property tax. When I was the mayor of Evansville, that was one of the things that was very stressful during that time when we were dealing and addressing the property tax cuts was where's the money gonna come from? And that was a lot of the meetings that we were having from the state level as well, was where was the money gonna come from? How are we gonna pay for first responders? How are we gonna pay our law enforcement? And so I think that overall with the community aspect, we have to be looking forward in the future of when we're looking at these things, how are we going to address the concerns that are facing the community at large?
Okay, thank you. The next question will be asked by our junior moderator, Bryn McCarthy from the Boys and Girls Club. And you have 1 minute. We'll start with Lisa Jameson and go this way.
So my question for you all is, how will you ensure that youth voices are actively included? Thank you. Okay. How will you ensure that youth voices are actively included in local decision making rather than just being talked about?
I have a 13-year-old daughter. She's on her phone every second that she's allowed to be on her phone. I think at the county level, maybe we could use social media a little bit. I don't know if any of our commissioners would want to do a TikTok now and then, but we need to meet the youth where they are and talk to them and engage them. And sometimes they act like they don't care, but they're listening, they're paying attention. And I'm interested to hear their ideas because sometimes a fresh perspective, sometimes we've been doing things the same way for so long and we just keep doing it because that's how we've always done it. Sometimes it's good to hear a fresh perspective. Or somebody says, why are we doing this? Why don't we do this instead?
To help the youth, first off, the commission needs to get together and put together a working group that can talk to the youth of our community. Get with the youth, find out what is the best way to communicate, and start developing that resource. Work with them. I have 2 grandchildren here that live in town, and then we have 2 other sets of grandchildren that live out of town, and we need to go to the kids. We can't sit, and it shouldn't be just one commissioner doing this. It needs to be the whole commission working on this and working with the kids and working with the school groups across our community and do outreach and come up with solutions that happen and matter and we can put together to get to those kids. Thank you.
Oh, Bryn, that's a great question. Thank you for giving it to us. Look, I have 14 years experience as a county commissioner. I started in 2005. And I walked into the Hall of Justice, and on the 3rd floor, the kids of Natrona County that were in detention were in this facility that was deemed inappropriate for the adults. As a county commissioner, it was personal. I got Dick Dreesing and my son Joseph, who's a doctor now in Vanderbilt, was asleep on my shoulder. But we got together, we brought the grandfather of juvenile detention to Casper, Wyoming, and we built the juvenile detention center so that those kids would have the best opportunity to get a job and start families and not just transition into the adult facility.
Would you restate the question, please?
Sorry about that. How will you ensure that youth voices are actively included in local decision-making rather than just being talked about?
Well, I think it's a personal matter. As far as the commission goes, I'm not sure that they're tuned in to even doing that. Now, I can tell you what I've done in my life here. I coached hockey for 10 years. Our high school hockey team won the largest amateur hockey tournament in the United States in 1987. I coached Little League Baseball. I represented all the kids, the parents, if they had legal issues. I taught at some classes at NC, up at Casper College. I was always involved with kids. I have to admit one thing, I didn't listen to my own two sons as deeply as I wish I would have. And I've learned that lesson. And I think parents need to listen to their children. Parents need to pass this down to their children. And because children are really wise if you listen to them. And I don't just mean little children, I mean children up to 21. And so getting them to understand politics, getting them to understand what this forum is even all about, I think it's a great idea.
I don't feel old, but my kids tell me that I'm old. So I don't pretend to know the best way to engage younger folks. But I do think it's worth asking, and I think there's a lot of resources to do that. I think Girls and Boys Club is a good resource. I think a lot of things we talk about, economic growth, certainly involves young people, and they have a voice. And so knowing what they need, what they hope for, so we can understand what we're actually striving for when we talk about economic growth, I think is important. So I think using the resources, I think we can do that as a county commission. I think we can reach out we have several boards, particularly around economic opportunity, that could do that. And so engaging, again, the existing sources like the Boys and Girls Clubs, et cetera, I think we can do that. But we need to ask, we need to have that conversation. Thanks.
So, as a mother of a child in Cook County, I coached flag football. I was the football mom, was the mom for cross country. I was there at every event. He was in orchestra. I participated. Being present for the kids is the biggest thing. I feel that being voted in, I am taking the responsibility of serving every person in Natrona County, whether they're an infant or 95 years old. I work for you, and I would have an open door policy. I would make myself available for any events that a student or a student organization would ask me to come and visit. I would be more than willing to be a part of the community, because that's what we need to do. That's what our job is. We work for the people, we should be there for the people.
Thank you. As a father of a 23, 22, and 19-year-old, I see the challenges of a younger adult section and also maybe the youth under 18. So if we have economic opportunities, reasons to stay here, that's gonna pull a lot of weight. As we look across the room here, we got two maybe that are, within what we're talking about. Why aren't they here? Need to ask ourselves that question. But have that open line of communication, have the emails, the social media, have everything else, websites available. They should be asking on the YouTube videos questions. They should be on boards. They should attend meetings, not only forums, but meetings municipal level and county level. And that's the direction I'd like to see that go. Thank you.
I believe the question was, what can we do to drive engagement with the youth? And really, the number one thing that I remember from being young is, and why I stayed interested in politics, is because I was surrounded by adults that listened to me and did not dismiss my ideas. We need to make sure that we're not being dismissive of our youth primarily. We need to encourage civic engagement, and that needs to come from the schools, the parents, and the leadership of the county and of the state. There is an event next Friday that candidates are going to be attending at City Park. That's specifically designed for engagement, and we really hope that a lot of the younger people do show up to that and ask us questions, and we will take them seriously. That's why we're here, is to listen to every constituent, not just the elderly, not just the working class, the people that are through college and whatnot. So.
Great question. I could talk about this for 2 hours, but the question was how. My commitment, if I'm elected, I used to run the Youth Empowerment Council for a few years at the Mercer Family Resource Center. Their slogan was for youth by youth. I think it would be important to create a youth advisory council for the county, made up of all youth, to give us direct direction of what needs to happen for young people in this community. And we need to listen to you and have that. We need to have youth town hall meetings more often, and then engagement with young people. I think that is what we need to be able to do to inspire you to get involved. Us old people also have to start acting like adults and quit acting and showing negative ways that we treat each other. So you want to be engaged in this type of stuff. We need to partner with agencies, but my commitment to you is that I will push for a youth council for the county commission, so you have a voice.
Hello? Okay, thank you. Can you restate your question?
My question was for you. How will you ensure that youth voices are actively included in local decision-making rather than just being talked about?
Yes, so primarily for the last 20 years, I have worked with the youth in Natrona County, and the main thing that they talk about is we want to be heard. We want to have our voices heard, and we want to be a part of the discussion. We don't want you to tell us what to do. We want to be a part of the discussion, and I think that that's important with the Casper Youth Hub that just opened up very close to my business, and also the event that's happening next Friday, the Vodapalooza, that's specifically geared towards the youth. I think that I would also agree with Mayor Pacheco that it's really important for us to create a youth advisory board or a youth committee that can actually be by the youth, telling us what they actually want.
All right, thank you, Bryn McCarthy, for that question. The next question will go to Cameron Savage first. There are many questions that have been submitted on this topic, and so I'm putting a couple of them together. If you hear your question, it might be paraphrased here. If the 25-50% property tax reduction passes, do you have a plan on how to fund the services we will need?
Well, that's a hard question. I'm glad that we got it. I don't see any way without taking some hard looks at our non-essential services that we have. We need to make sure that we, of course, are funding police, fire, road and bridge, and everything else to the best of our ability. But, things like entertainment would have to go. We may have to lose employees. It depends on how many people take the exemption. How many people, and there's a lot of people that are really hurting, so I believe that a lot of people will take that exemption. But we have to be serious about keeping our employees as best we can and working through the problems and just making whatever cuts we absolutely can in order to get as much of a trimmed down budget as possible. And that's really what we have as an option without asking the state to do anything else.
Okay, there is quite possibly a sizable budget shortfall that will happen. As you would see in our own households, we tighten our belt, we make plans, we adjust the budget accordingly. and yeah, it will take a lot of, pain. It, could be job losses, could be non-essential services. I'd like to see infrastructure be first and foremost, the essentials, emergency services, law enforcement, public works, and going on. So with that, it's just a matter of just planning accordingly. A lot of there's some I don't knows and some other funding that comes in that you can't plan on until it actually gets here, mainly some grants, but as far as that, it's just taking a good look at everything and essentially listening to the constituents of this county. Thank you.
This is a very tough question because I believe that most of the county agencies are essential. There would be cuts. It would be a very hard situation to face because you are losing people that have dedicated their lives to this community. And so it'd be really hard to have to cut employees, but it might be something that we do. I think the essential departments would get priority over the extras. But it's hard because, like I said, every department I feel is essential to this community. We may have to reduce hours, limit days, cut back on staff, and find better healthcare plans and retirement plans maybe to help the employees make it through this time.
I think the one thing we have in our favor is that we know it could be coming, and so we could start now, we could have some contingency plans, again, opening lines of communication. It is gonna be hard, we'll have to take a close look at those core services, but I think a lot can be done, being creative, making sure everybody's on the same page and planning now. I don't think we have to wait till it actually happens. There's a lot that can be done now to prepare for it. Thanks.
So we've addressed it already, and what we did this year was we cut all the budgets. Some were because they were larger budgets. For instance, we cut the sheriff's budget by $400,000. And that went on down for each agency that we supply money to, which is quite a few. So we have this in mind. Now, I'll tell you this, we have $90 million in the bank, drawing interest. And we spend the money that we get on interest and use that to run our agencies. The state has billions of dollars, and they have been giving counties about $100 million a year, not each, but divided up. So there's a plan in place to handle this if this tax goes through, which it may or may not. But there are people out there who I've seen at hearings involving the assessor where the women and the men are in tears because they can't pay the tax on their house. So really, I'd like to see no tax on housing, and maybe then look at a higher tax when you purchase something, so it's more even across the board, because people who don't have houses don't pay that tax.
Well, I believe Dallas, he touched on it. I mean, it's about conversations, it's about understanding where the taxes come from and who they affect. So 25% of the Natrona County Schools budget is property tax. It's the assessment from the state and local assessed. $2,400 is the amount it would affect Midwest Edgerton. So county fire is different, city of Casper is different. The assessments are the market value times the multiplier times the tax levy. And the tax levy and the multiplier haven't changed in years. So ultimately, our house values, somebody mentioned $450,000 for a house. And so the taxes have increased. So I think if we went back, if we do this cut, we're going back a number of years, I don't know, maybe 5-7 years on the taxes we were paying then. So it's a question of understanding the budget and how to manage it.
Thank you for the question. It is very difficult. I've had the, not really pleasure, but I had the ability to work with 2 governors on budget cuts across the state, working across agencies, working across the whole state, in coming up with the cuts in every agency. Also, not only with that experience, this needs to be a two-pronged approach. You need to have a long-term plan and a short-term plan. The short-term plan is cutting some things if it's there. I think they're very lean right now. But also, you don't need to be cruel when you're cutting budgets. You need to be respectful. And then the other prong on that side is you need to look at generating revenue through economics, through new ideas, and you need to be open to looking at this and coming up with solutions, not complaints. Thank you.
So I've had a little frustration with, at the state level with, to me, if you're gonna cut your revenues, you should have already created a plan. You should have already either identified some excessive money that we've been spending that maybe we shouldn't do this anymore. Let's cut that and then we can cut everybody's taxes. Or maybe you find a new revenue source and then you say, hey, we're making more monies from minerals or whatever, and then let's give that back to the people on the property taxes. So I'm having a little bit of frustration with the lack of a plan that the counties have been saddled with the results of the state legislators not planning ahead. So now it's landed on us.
Please repeat the question.
If the 25–50% property tax reduction passes, do you have a plan how to fund the services we need?
That's a fully loaded question. So, I was the mayor when we were working through the property tax cuts out in Evansville, and the first thing that we ended up having to deal with was what were the non-essential things that we can get rid of off of the budget first, which meant the employees were first and foremost discussed as we don't want to get rid of any of the current employees that we have, but we're going to have to freeze any new positions or current positions that we currently had open. So that was the first thing. The second thing was any non-essential things in terms of anything to do with our parks, watering. We went ahead and we looked at every single thing in regards to those events. So those would be the short-term things that we need to look at, is the non-essential things first, and to move forward with that. We have to look at those first when we're dealing with budget cuts.
So this is a difficult question because we don't know the full ramifications yet. What's gonna, if it happens in November, that we see a 50% cut in the property taxes. To fix it, I'm not sure there's any good solution. I think the reality of the situation is that there'd be cuts. What that looks like, I know from the city aspect, we wanted to protect our employees, making sure that we didn't make any cuts. A lot of it went towards recreation type things. The possibility of closure of pools, things like that could be on the horizon. I would say that that's the same that could happen with the county. Fire, we would need emergency services infrastructure would take priority, and that's the reality of the situation. As far as how to do that, could be backfill from the legislature, which I know they've been talking a lot about. Legislature also wanted to talk about raising the sales tax to do that, although I don't think the sales tax could fully fund that. And finally, with the final point is that places like Midwest and Edgerton and those that don't have a solid sales tax base, they are gonna struggle very mightily because they don't have that.
Thank you for that. The next question will start with Charles Moore. 1 minute. How would you manage the county relationship with Banner Hospital?
Great question. Is it working? Can you hear me? No. Test.
There you go.
Now it is. Great question. I would do exactly what I did 2 weeks ago. I would spend time at the hospital. I would go there. I went there voluntarily, and I took a tour of the hospital. but also my wife was in the hospital the week before the treatment. She was brought into the emergency room, she had collapsed her lung, and they had to do an emergency, I'm not sure what the procedure was, but blow the lung up, I guess, and she was there for 4 days. So had a very interesting experience there, but that's where it starts. You need to have a good understanding of it, you need to have a good grasp of the hospital, and be able to work with those folks and hopefully improve upon everything. Thank you.
I don't know if it is now, but I've heard at one time that the hospital was the largest employer in Natrona County. It might still be. But it's familiarity with the hospital and its operations is certainly helpful. I did 25 years as a fireman. I was a full-line intermediate medic. I worked at the hospital. I've been there as a patient getting a couple of shoulders, double bypass. I've got a list, appendix with 4 surgeries. I have some experience there, and honestly, they haven't always gotten it right. You know, there certainly have been some instances that need addressed. But I tell you, I value the medical treatment that I have received at Banner, and I would work on improving those relationships moving forward.
Would you read me the question before my time starts, please?
Yes. How would you manage the county relationship with Banner Hospital?
Well, we've been doing that. Now, what happened is the county hospital got sold by some commissioners 5 years ago, before I ever became on the county commission. I was actually on the board of trustees of Wyoming Medical Center in the late 80s, so I understood the hospital at that time, and I became friends with the chief financial officer. When they sold the hospital for about $175 million, I wrote an editorial for the Star Tribune because the chief financial officer told me the hospital was worth $450 million. Few guys lost their politics over that one. Now what's happening now is there's a 1,000-page contract that probably most people can't even read, and what's happened now is the time has elapsed and the commission does not have any more oversight directly on the hospital. But you know, people go up there and there's some tragedies happening up there. And it's because I think that the hospital is a $1 billion affair based in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're an outlier. I could take another minute and keep explaining this because I think it's really important for some of the people to know it.
As the moderator, that's in my purview to do that, and I'd like to, as a sitting county commissioner, give you 30 more seconds to discuss. Is that agreeable with everyone?
Is that something you're gonna give to everybody?
If you would like 30 more seconds, yes.
So I would say this, the issue is, and I'll just give you some of the cases that have happened. Guy goes up there, he's elderly, they bring him up there in a van, not an ambulance, he sits in the waiting room, he's vomiting blood, and he can't get into the emergency room, and he dies. Another one is, a guy goes in to have a back operation, he doesn't get the back operation, but he leaves without a leg. So these are things you hear as a lawyer, and they're dealt with. But as far as anybody thinking they can control Banner, they can't do it.
Thank you.
So I don't know the details like Dallas does, but many of us were at the Health Collective Trust yesterday and heard the survey that they conducted statewide, and some of the issues that this state, and particularly the county, are facing. A lot of those are around affordability and access to healthcare. I do, from what I understand, and I don't have all the ins and outs of it like you do, Dallas, but I think we do have some leverage on Banner. We have this health trust that is providing them upwards of $15–17 million a year under that agreement that was put in place. There are some things that we can do. I think we just need to get involved, we need to understand the details, and we need to hold them accountable to the extent that we can. Thank you.
I've had experience with Banner, or Wyoming Medical Center. I haven't that much with Banner. I think that we lost our little control with the hospital. When it was a county hospital, there was a little bit more service. We had plenty of great doctors, nurses, caregivers. It was incredible. Now you hear all the time, they can't keep people, we've lost doctors in the community because of them. I think that the whole process needs to be looked over again. We need to look at the contract and make sure that Natrona County is the winner out of this contract, not some corporation somewhere else. It should be the people in Natrona County should come first in that contract no matter what. That's where I feel we should put our importances, make sure Natrona County is served first.
If I may, I just wanted to reiterate that the question is, how would you manage the county relationship? How would you manage the county relationship with Banner Hospital?
Thank you. How I'd manage the county relationship with the hospital would be with open communication back and forth. As a commissioner, as you vote for Greg Flesvig, County Commissioner in Natrona County, I will be there to listen to you. I want your input. I'm pretty sure there's no shortage of any stories here recently in the last 5 years of people having their experiences at the hospital. So I want to hear about that. I want to, make sure that 1,000-page report is being followed to the letter and getting the best we can out of it. There's the Health Trust and the grants they put out. There's everything else. But as far as just having that communication and make it indigent care, everything else, we need to have everything outlined and well suited. Thank you.
I think that we have to really listen to Banner, being that they hold all the cards. I mean, as Dallas was indicating, we have to make sure we keep our lines of communication open and don't become too adversarial with them. But we do need to protect our citizens. It's the primary job of government, and we need to advocate for responsible care with them. If we show disrespect to them, they're going to show disrespect to us. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we've made as a county was to sell that hospital to Banner in the first place. Somebody forgot that the community means community when they did that, and that's about all I have.
Thank you. How to manage a relationship with hospital, I think, is critical because they play a critical component in our community, right? So thankfully, on my 12 years on city council, I've been afforded the opportunity to work pretty closely with Banner, work very closely with Lance Porter, the CEO. I've spent many meetings with him, many lunches with him to have conversations, asking him hard questions, getting some answers from that. I think continuing to have that open communication is real. I think we need to continue to do that. Being able to meet with their leadership, talking with the corporation, and letting them know our needs. Finally, I want to say one thing, and I know they get a lot of hits. My dad passed away about 3 months ago. Banner treated my dad with dignity and respect, and it was one of the most amazing things that I have ever seen in my life. And the nurse that was a part of that, to this day, is an amazing human being. So they do get a lot of crap, but the time that my dad was dying that week, Banner treated him with so much dignity, so much love, and so much respect, so they deserve that as well.
I think that we have to look at the purview of our scope of practice as commissioners and understand what is our role and what is our job with how are we going to continue to manage that relationship first and foremost. Once we understand that foundation, that we can move forward in the discussion. Yes, we have to have open lines of communication, but we also have to first understand where's our role and where's their role, and how can we come together in terms of the concerns and the issues that the community is facing, and also the concerns that the constituents and their family members might be facing in regards to some of the stories that might be coming out. But without that scope of practice of understanding what is the commissioner's role first and foremost, that's where we have to start.
I think I would lean on the Natrona Collective Trust a lot. I'm not a doctor or a nurse, and we have experts in the community who know a lot more about it than I do. I'll say that my own personal experiences with Banner have all been positive, very professional people, well taken care of, but communication is really our only key. I know the commissioners hear a lot of stories from the constituents, and it's important important to listen to those stories carefully, and it's important to relay those stories to someone who maybe can do something about it. And as has been mentioned, we need to listen to the hospital too, because they're part of this equation too. So I think it's more of a communication and listening issue.
Mr. Moore, would you like another 30 seconds?
I think they've covered it all, thank you.
Mr. Keating? Thank you for that. We'll start the next question with Mr. Flesvig. 1 minute. Please describe your, I think it's inclinations and feelings on economic development, specifically what would you do or not do to improve Natrona County's economy?
Yes, I would like to have a barrier-free atmosphere to have economic development, companies coming in. I see a lot of job development coming in with Mesa Energy Solutions in Evansville. I'd like to see that SLIP grants coming in to foster a lot of infrastructure on that. Getting our college, it offers wonderful training opportunities for the young people to get them qualified. I like how that is, all the opportunity that people are afforded there. Making sure it's a climate that we can just have more job opportunities, a lot livable wages, and that's about it.
I think the foremost thing I would work on is communication. I personally had an incident where they brought in a industry into my neighborhood. We didn't know about it till they had the planning and zoning meeting. I think that communication between the officials, the landowners, the neighbors is key in helping bring in economic development. When you have open communication, not only with your neighbors, but also in your government, you have a stronger community and you have a stronger government. And I think that's what we need to do, is open the communications between everybody involved and everybody that's gonna be affected by any new industries coming in.
I would agree. I think we need to open that line of communication. I think we need to understand what growth means in this community, and that can be difficult. There are sometimes winners and losers when we talk about economic opportunities, and so having that communication really helps. I think we have a unique situation in Casper in the county. We're 4 hours from everything. That can be a hurdle sometimes because we're not co-located with a large city. But at the same time, we have this island, and I think we can play up on that. We have a lot of natural resources. We have a lot of opportunities to get outside, and so I think that can help. I've met a lot of people who have moved here recently from other states. I think we need to understand why that is. I think a lot of that has to do with the outdoor opportunities here and what a great community this is. So I think we can play that up, but we need to understand what growth means, and then we can understand what our future can look like and how we can get there.
The Wyoming people that work at Banner aren't the problem. It's the higher organization. Now I'm gonna answer the question.
Are you answering this question or?
I'm gonna answer this question that you just asked. So, the reason I'm running again, the primary reason, is because of this data center. So I have contacted a lot of experts on data centers, and I'm getting ready, maybe next week, to go down to Cheyenne and visit some data centers and visit with a lawyer who has represented data centers and is going to tell me the truth about data centers. But the reason that intrigued me about a data center was this. They claim that if they come here and build that big data center, they're gonna supply $100 million per year in taxes to Natrona County. Now, if that's true, our problem is over. I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't know whether to believe it or not, but I'm gonna do the best I can to find out the truth of it.
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
Yes. Please describe your inclinations, feelings on economic development. Specifically, what would you do or not do to improve Natrona County's economy?
So the prospect of something like Prometheus actually, I find very exciting. What I would do personally is my due diligence, which is exactly what I've done as a candidate for Natrona County Commissioner. I have gone out and researched, is there natural gas? What are the emissions? What permits are required? Where would it be located? What kind of jobs? What kind of tax base would come in to Natrona County? I have a unique perspective, I think a specific skill set that leans towards this type of development. After spending 10 years in the Powder River Basin, put thousands of miles going down those dirt roads, I've managed frack water, I've run oil fields, and so I know who to contact, and I have done that and finding out the resources, compressor stations, who's laying pipelines, and if it's if it's a project which actually work.
Thank you. Natrona County is a fantastic place to live. The people are great. It's just been a wonderful opportunity, not only for all of us in this room, but me personally. Economic development at best, it's stagnant, I think, here in the community, and we need to always appear to be open for business. However, when you're open for business, you have to give those businesses a roadmap to come and develop here. You have to have the proper oversight, you have to have the proper pathways for them to come, and if they cannot meet those pathways, then it stops. We also, with that, housing is a problem. Housing is a problem for new businesses coming in, and that's even another can of worms that's hard to deal with. Thank you.
I would approach it with an open mind. I know a lot of us heard data center, and a lot of people threw up a flag and said, hey, we don't want this in our backyard. And I think every project needs to be looked at on its own merits. Where is it going to be located? Who's it going to affect? We just need to go through the process, give them a chance to explain themselves and how they're going to fit into our community. And the same goes with, we have public figures in Wyoming who are picking and choosing types of energy that are acceptable. When we refuse to look at a wind project for some political reason, we really cut ourselves our own throat, cut off your nose to spite your face, as they say. Renewables, we should look at on their own merits as well.
Please restate the entirety of the question.
Please describe your inclinations or feelings on economic development. Specifically, what would you do or not do to improve Natrona County's economy?
I think when it comes to economic development, because we dealt with this when I got the $9 million grant as the mayor out in Evansville, one of the questions was how many employees are going to be employed for Mesa Energy Solutions, and are those employees going to come from within Wyoming or outside of Wyoming? So that's one area as well. The other piece that I would say is, I would garner a question of what kind of business are we open for? Because we've seen what happened with Radiant Energy. We're seeing the discussion that's happening with AI data centers now. And I think that we do have to go back to that question of what kind of business are we open for and how are we going to move forward. But in terms of my thoughts with economic development, my thought is always how many jobs is it going to create for the people in Wyoming and Natrona County?
Thank you. So I always go by the motto, good planning is good government. I don't think we have a plan. I think we're kind of all over the place when it comes to economic development. I think we say we're open for business, for new and innovative things to come into the state of Wyoming, but I don't think we really are. Everybody's for economic development. We talk about it, it's a buzzword, but we don't have a plan. From the state level all the way down to the county level. We need to come up with a plan. We need to have a strategic plan from a county level. We need to talk about that. We need to bring in experts to lead the county, to be able to say, this is what we need, this is what we need, because we have a lot of problems. It is, like Charlie said, it's stagnant. We're not keeping young people here. There's no good paying jobs for them to stay here. My kids don't want to stay in Wyoming. They would rather leave, and they're in their 20s. So what is our plan? Good planning is good government.
I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers. There's been a lot of really good points made here tonight on this. But one of the things that I do believe that would attract businesses is they knew we had a fair playing field for every business, and we were gonna treat every business the same under the law. They all need to meet the same requirements. We need to not play favorites based on what are essentially emotional reactions to things. We need to, Amico Park here in Casper was done by an oil company, and it contaminated the land completely. We can't turn away just businesses because one business does something bad to us. We have to make sure that we have standards in place that are gonna protect the community, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we are open for business. And like Ray said, we do need to come up with a plan and consult actual experts on this type of development.
Okay, at this time, we have, I want to make sure we have enough time for the 1 minute for your recap. But I wanted to read you some of the questions that people have been asked that you won't get a chance to answer, just so that you know what people are thinking. One of them was, how did you decide to run? Kind of, what were you thinking? And what have you done to prepare? There's a question here on property tax assessments and the disputes and how that's handled by the county. There's a question on EMS not being legally an essential service, and you know, how do you plan to keep that, what is viewed by many as an essential service, in the light of the property tax possible reductions? There's one where you stand on replacing property tax with sales tax, which I realize isn't in the commissioner's purview, but it is a question that was on someone's mind. There's a question on this, where you stand on Coates Road and how you would better navigate a situation like that in the future. There's a couple of questions on your thoughts on the data centers. And then the one that I'll give you 30 seconds apiece to answer, starting with Kathy Carr. And I realize, Mr. Laird, you aren't gonna get a first question, but starting with Kathy Carr, 30 seconds on what is Natrona County's greatest asset?
The people.
It's the people. Natrona County is a fabulous place. I love getting to know all the different people in the community, being a part of different things in the community. Our greatest asset is the people, and we need to find a way to keep them and help them and watch them grow.
I'll take the community, she took the people, but this is a hard place to live. This community is we're hard workers, we're entrepreneurial. We exist in places where people don't think you should exist, but we love it here, and the summers always make up for how hard the winters are. So the community is a special place, and we didn't realize what a great community it was until we got here and we lived here for a few years.
I agree with Kathy, she's a very wise woman. I often say the greatest asset that the county has is people who work for the county. Because, in my opinion, they're underpaid. We just had a study done to equalize the pay. Cost us $65,000 to do that because we want to take care of our employees above all else. This county won't run without the employees. The people, all of you people here, I love every Natrona County resident. I don't care whether they like me or not.
You know, it really is the people, yeah, but it's our community too. We've got a wonderful mountain, we've got lakes, we've got activities, we walk around, my wife and I, we walk around the golf course. But it's just more in the community, getting in depth in the community. You asked earlier about, what do we do for our youth? I pray, I go take to church. They watch me closely, and all of my kids are better people than I am.
Great question. What is Natrona County's greatest asset? It's my wife, it's my daughters, it's my grandkids, it's each and every one of you in this room. It's everybody that's listening to this on YouTube. That's the greatest asset we have. Thank you.
It's hard to choose between the people and our access to nature, because we are part of nature, and because we can just walk out our backyard and enjoy being close to nature in a way that many people are not so lucky to have. You know, we're lucky here, we're special. Our place is special. The people are special too.
I would also echo community, our neighbors, nature, small business owners. I'm a small business owner myself, and so I love the feeling of the downtown community. They're a very tight-knit community, and I think that really fosters a sense of togetherness and a sense of gathering, and that's what I love, is that small town feeling.
Our greatest asset. I agree with all my fellow candidates here, but to me it's our young people. And let me tell you why. I'm looking at you two. We are all going to get old. We're all going to go somewhere, hopefully, in heaven. But I'm going to tell you, you are our greatest asset, and we need you here. And we need you to take the next generation for us in this state, and we need you to take the next generation here in this county. So you are our greatest assets.
Well, to risk sounding like a broken record, it is the community, and Ray kind of took the answer I was going to give too. So, so I'm going to say the wind, because the wind keeps our community strong. Only the strong survive. Wyoming wins, and so that's got to be our greatest asset.
How can I compete with that? I could go on to winters, but I don't think I'll go there. But yeah, the people around here, young, old, middle-aged, over the hill, everyone, they are just wonderful to be around here. You go to David Street Station, a lot of community involvement. We're all big family here, in my opinion. Vote for Greg Flesvig, County Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that. That ends the questions for tonight. And so at this point, we'll have 1 minute for your wrap-up for each of you as a candidate, starting with Chad McNutt.
Well, thank you for having us tonight, and thank you for being here and participating in this forum. I love this community. It's been an honor living here for the past 13, it's going on 14 years. For everything that we've talked about, even though we do have a lot of struggles, again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I think we have a bright future. I think there's a lot going for this community, in this county, in the city of Casper. I think we do need to have some hard discussions about what growth means, and all the things that are under that. A healthy community has a responsible tax assessment process, and we have good health care, and we have good jobs, and our youth want to stay here. So we need to have those discussions, but you know what? A lot of places have difficult issues, and I think we can get through that. We have a tight community, and that's the foundation for addressing a lot of these problems. And I'm ready to work hard. I'm ready to get in this position and work for the citizens of this county. Thank you.
This way. So I liked all those questions that people asked, and it would take probably an hour for me to give a brief answer to each one of them, but there are answers to each one of them, and if they want to ask me before we leave tonight, I'd be happy to. discuss that with them, because they are important questions, and there are answers to them. And the issue here is that with the county commission, one of the big issues is legal questions. We've had to hire a couple lawyers outside of the county to handle some of these legal questions. One is we hired a gentleman from Jackson who was born and raised here in Casper and is a lawyer. His dad was a lawyer here, to handle the gravel pit issue. The gravel pit issue is about to be settled. Now, Coates Road, we put a weight restriction on Coates Road so that big, huge 130,000-pound gravel trucks can't run up and down there 200 times a day. That's what we did to protect the people. They have a 20,000 person petition against that. And we heard them. We hear the people.
I'm running because I was asked, and the fire department called me. Because EMS is an essential service. 3 days ago, my sister, who's a waitress in Springfield, Illinois, saw a gentleman walking down the sidewalk and he collapsed. She ended up doing CPR on him. He passed away. But Station 13 has been browning out. They've been cutting back on callbacks, and that is an essential service in our community. And it's most essential, in fact, it's primarily essential if it's you or your family or one of our neighbors. But we can affect it in a positive way with new and old business of growth. Themselves provide innovation in our community. Good paying jobs provide stability for our families, and protecting private property rights so an individual, not the government, can protect their investment, their land, and their future. And a strong, prosperous community depends on all three.
Thank you. Why I'm running for county commissioner. I spent the last 17 years in public service, and I retired, and I loved it. It was the best 17 years probably of my life. Very difficult, very hard decisions, but you deal with the law, you deal with people, you deal with the whole state of Wyoming, 95,000 square miles of it. So now you drill it down to 5,300 square miles and just under 80,000 people. It's about the kids, it's about my grandkids. We want them to stay here. And I see a very bright future for Natrona County, Casper, Wyoming, if it's handled right. And I think our best years are yet to come if we have good decisions based on facts and listen to the people, most of all. Thank you.
I'm running for county commissioner because democracy works best when regular people take a turn helping with the work of running the government. This is my home. I love it here. I hope to carry on the tradition of our county commissioners being available and responsive to the public. I hope to help improve outreach to the community, especially the young people. I hope to find ways to create better partnerships between the county and the state, so our local interests are top of mind for the people making decisions for us at the state level. Moving forward, we're going to have to identify services that must be protected from cuts so that public safety and infrastructure maintenance are not compromised. Natrona County is a nice place to live because our predecessors invested in our community. I will do everything I can to keep it that way.
I'm running for Natrona County Commissioner because I'm not your average politician. I cannot be bought. I'm not going to sell the constituents out. I am no stranger to controversy, and honestly, I didn't think that I was gonna get back in after my resignation in November of last year, but I was also asked by many people to get back in because we need a clear and stable voice, and we need diversity in the community, and so that's why I'm coming back into this.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters, my fellow candidates here, and of course, everyone that came tonight. Throughout this forum, you've heard different perspectives on the issues facing Natrona County. Those issues are important. We all agree on that, and I hope you've had that opportunity to see that. But more importantly, I hope you've had an opportunity to see my approach to service. I've never viewed service public service as being about politics. To me, it's always been about you, the people. That's how I've tried to serve the last 12 years as the mayor of Casper and city council. It's how I've served my students at the University of Wyoming, my clients as a therapist, and exactly how I will serve you as a county commissioner. I don't have all the answers. I don't promise I can answer them, but I'll listen. I'll work hard. I'll be accessible, and I'll make every decision with integrity, with the long-term future of Natrona County in mind. It would be an honor to earn your vote on August 18th. Thank you so much.
Well, I really think that we need to make sure that there are adults in the room and that we all treat each other as adults on the commission. There was originally the 3 people were not gonna run. One decided, to do his civic duty at the last minute, and he said, "I want to stay with us, Dallas is." But we need to make sure that there's responsible adults that are willing to listen to all sides of the issue and all the voters and be available and not treat them like they're children that don't understand the issues. If you go to my website, you can see my reasoning and my thinking. I do long form answers. I refuse to do sound bites. And I will research anything that I can to make sure that I'm giving you the best service possible if you decide to choose me in August. Thank you.
Yes, I chose to run for county commission because I have a sense of just civic duty, really. It kind of grew on me in Evansville, and now here I am running at the county level. So at 52 years old, I got 10 more years, and then I'm right off into the sunset. So time's limited. Sorry, Joe. Okay. But I have good aspirations there. But yeah, the people here, I mean, that's that's what I do it for, just to see the friendly faces and the people in the community. It's just what I'm all about. It's I want to just do a good job, listen to people, make the right choices, difficult as they may be. But when it comes to data centers, it comes to slash piles and everything else, I'll just do what's in the best interest of the residents of Natrona County. Thank you, and vote for Greg Flessery, Natrona County Commissioner.
Thank you all for coming tonight. It was great to see so many faces out here. Some of the people I know in the crowd, some people I don't, but it's great to know that there's so many people a part of this. I'm running because I feel this is my home. And I have always been one of those people that steps up and puts my 2 cents and my back into hard labor. And right now, this community needs somebody that's ready to stand up and do the hard work. And I'm one of those people that will not shy away from it. I appreciate everybody that came tonight. I hope that you all come out and vote on August 18th. And thank you for coming tonight.
All right, thanks once again to the candidates for running and for showing up tonight. Thank you to the audience for coming tonight and for your interest and for your questions. I'd also like to thank Bryn and Brooke McCarthy for keeping time and for asking questions and for showing up as well. And the Natrona County Library for providing a room. And of course, the League of Women Voters for continuing since 1920 with providing a service where we get to meet the candidates and they get to hear questions from the public that matter to them. So thank you very much. We're welcome to stay around and talk with each other for a while. We'll have a 15-minute break, and then we'll have a city council panel. Last week it was scheduled and the power went off at the library, and so this room is kind of dark when the power is off, so we really need to do it. So we'll have that panel in 15 minutes. Thank you and have a good evening.